Next speaker, Quidachay, who was part of the organization PACE. Ron?
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Ron Quidachay. I'm also a judge of the Superior Court of San Francisco, which I've been for the last 38 years. And when I think back, last Friday I was sitting on the bench, and if I had this many people in front of me, it would mean it was a complex case, and we were trying to pick a jury that was probably going to take, I don't know, probably 2 months or something like that. Most of you would be let go going to school, but in any event, let me get to the point. What you've heard, much of what I've heard in the last month or two, and from the panelists, are coming from persons who represent groups or are persons who themselves are very politically astute. And they were very politically astute 50-something years ago. That was not true of the Filipino students on the campus, not everybody. Let me ask, how many people here are current members of PACE? Anybody? Okay, good to know. Good to know. And let me say this right now. For those of you who are members of PACE, the person really responsible for its formation, Patrick Alvarado. Patrick passed away about a couple of months ago, August. And but Patrick was one of the persons. He was the person who would go around the cafeteria. We used to call it the Commons, and he would have this leaflet, that long, which actually states the positions that you've been hearing today. And he'd walk around and he says, "Are you Filipino?" And if you said yes, "Oh, you're a member of PACE, here." And then he would also give you an application. And when a lot of people read this, which is a very radical statement in the eyes of many, because when you look at the Filipino students on the campus at that time, we had about 80, but some of them were students here on visas. So, you know, today you hear all about the immigration problems. Those persons who were here on immigrant visas, education visas, they had to be concerned about what they did. And the others come from families that are relatively conservative. And I was a little bit different. I grew up on the island of Guam. I'm a native San Franciscan. I grew up on the island of Guam. But when I came here, when I was 17 years old in 1964 to go to SF State, I suddenly discovered I had all these Filipino relatives because I grew up thinking I'm Chamorro and I'm Irish, and my mother never told me you have all these Filipino relatives. And then I find out I'm half Filipino. So when I found that out, and Patrick comes up to me and he says, "Hey, Ron, are you Filipino?" I says, "Well, I'm sort of half-caste, you know. My mother's Irish, my father's Filipino. Doesn't make any difference. You're in PACE." and so at that particular point, myself, Patrick, Baba Lumen, and Alex Soria, we were the persons who said, "Okay, we're willing to make some commitment." We said, "We agree with the statements here, but not necessarily in that format." The other persons did not. In any event, PACE got formed then. Simultaneous was this organization, TWLF and BSU, and they are moving along very fast. Patrick, myself, and the others, we decide we're going to be part of the TWLF. And there's a steering committee. But not, as might be assumed, we all agreed on everything all the time. No way. And they had this manifesto that they put out, which, you know, you really needed uniformity, you needed 100% consensus. So I actually found, I'm a pack rat, I found some notes from October 11, PACE notes. And what it shows to me is, of 5 of the demands, we had debate as to whether or not we were going to accept these demands. And I won't go go through which ones we did not like. Everybody said ethnic studies. That was a group of 100% said yes. Juan Martinez, Professor Martinez, who was actually our advisor. Some question about Professor Martinez. George Murray, another one, where there are votes, but they are not unanimous. And then special admissions. And one of the things that I thought was missed this morning when Mr. Persico spoke was, he talked about the AFRTC demonstration. But from our perspective, it was special admissions. It was not. It was so that we could get students in from the Filipino community and the others. So in the end, what happened was we went ahead and as things occur, we moved closer and closer to agreeing on all of it, and we did. And she's giving me a minute now. Let me say this. The consequences were astronomical. The Secret Service, as somebody said earlier today, had every one of our names. I know because I went to Guam, and President Nixon was going to Guam, and the Secret Service came to my parents' house. And I wanted to know why it was on Guam. I was only there to visit my parents, because I had had a very serious motorcycle accident. And let me finish this. So I had been the chair of the TWLF the prior semester. The day of registration for the semester of the strike, I had a serious motorcycle accident and with major brain injury and so on and so forth. And I was in the hospital for a couple of months. And then my neurosurgeon said, look, you have two choices. You can either go to a convalescent home or you can go to SF State. because it'll bring back some of your memory. I had a face and all this stuff like that, because I've been very involved. So one of the reasons you don't see much of me in all these films is because I'm sort of like Roger is now. I had no hair, but I had a beard and I had a white helmet. And Jesus Contreras from Alvarado, he was really my protector. He would walk me around and say, Ron, you can't get hit in the head. You know, you've already got brain injury. In any event, we formed, and I will tell you, it had major consequences going on through all of our lives that were involved. Let me acknowledge some people, and then I'll end. Professor Gonzalez, Dan Gonzalez. I don't know where Danny is, but Danny came in under the, maybe I should be saying this. Danny was a special ad student. He didn't need it, but he came in. Juanita Tamayo was a person who really did a lot of work. Ed De La Cruz, another person who was there. And Ed, he's passed away. Virgie, Evangelista, Orbi Judges. There were a lot of people there, but they were not willing to, they didn't want to get arrested because they still had to tell their parents. People like myself and a few others. Our parents were like 4,000 miles away. Why would they care? Anyway, that's how PACE got involved, and I hope that I'm able to say hi to some of you who are currently in PACE. I probably went to school with your grandparents. Thank you.